because I've said this before when we were talking about relationships with each other, relationships with another person, individual, especially someone that you care about, teaches us how to have relationships with other people, even outside of our relationship. Yeah. And one of the things is someone more susceptible to listen to you if you put them on blast in public, embarrass them, or are they more susceptible to be defensive? No matter what you're saying. You could be saying the talk show where we're kicking it and having fun on inspirational radio. We're the talk show, kicking it and having fun. So turn your radio up. The absolutely right thing. Like Darius could be absolutely right. But because of how you say it, it's how you say it. When you say it, who you say it in front of. Right. All of that really, matters. And, you have to take that into perspective. So, even as Christians, I say this all the time. Like if you run up to someone on the street and tell them about whatever you think is going on, whatever is wrong with their life, why do we get surprised when they respond in a defensive manner? Yeah. And that's again this principle that we're talking about in a relationship, in a marriage. Like if I come to my wife and I put her in a defensive posture, then any content or anything that I'm saying at that point, is it really going to be heard? Is it really going to be received? And if our heart is resolution, or our heart is to fix or address the issue, then we should definitely care about how that information is given. People can have and when and how. A defensive nature in general. So you're already working from the back. You're already working because as soon as I've known people that as soon as you say anything to them, they get on guard. That wasn't me. Or you always blame me, or automatically no accountability when it could be 100% them. But, just having a defensive nature, you're never going to get anywhere if you charging a bull like that. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? I'm a very defensive person. But what I've learned in our marriage is that I run things through filters because I'm also a very factual person. I put it in buckets. Like if you tell me something, I'll run it through my mind before I respond, and I'll say, is that a him issue or is that a me issue? What do you gain from it by this conversation? And that helps me separate it out. Like, I know you didn't say that because you trying to destroy me. You know what I mean? Like, so that must mean that what you're saying to me is for my benefit. So it helps me to let down that guard. As painful as it may be, whatever you're saying. It might be something that I don't even want to talk about. Like, leave that alone. Why are we talking about that? But it helps me to receive it because my initial response is protective. It's going to go up. And I don't care what you're talking about, and then I have to really run it through these channels. One thing I learned in marriage is you have to be slow to respond. Like, sometimes you'll ask me a question and say something, and I'll feel anger, or I'll feel, something kind of like this is really about to get on my nerves, and I'll just wait. Like if I respond at the moment that, I feel like it could just really blow up into something, and I just wait to respond. Sometimes you'll say, did you hear me? Did you, checking for understanding, but I don't know what to do with it. Like, so instead of just responding to respond, I'm listening to so I can respond to you real quickly, I'll just be quiet. Would you say we've gotten better with not being defensive over the years? Yes, I have. And so, what I would say to that then is, and again, this goes back to that principle, people are less defensive when the trust is built and when a relationship is built. You know what I mean? Because now we're in a situation where I'm not trying to hurt you. I know you're not trying to hurt me. So our conversations don't come from that.
And I guess my point is, if you're running up to someone on the street that you don't know, that you don't have a relationship, so you're already, to your point, it could be a very defensive person already, or the fact that you're approaching them in an aggressive manner could cause them to be defensive. Right. You know what I mean? So, definitely early in relationships, I think there's going to be this building of trust and building of understanding. Like, I talk to people all the time and they feel like, oh, well, we dated for, sometimes me and you knew each other for 4 years before we got married. Right. But that's still different from the institute of marriage and actually getting into a life with this person.
What I understand is you have to be intentional with whatever you're doing in your marriage. So it is just the principle of, IKEA plants. I'm not going to use plants because I don't know nothing about plants. But it's watering that. You know what I mean? So, and being intentional with it. For example, when our kids, who are no longer kids, I don't want to talk about that, but when they were little, we used to go on road trips all the time. First of all, because we got a bunch of kids, so we would have to pile up into the truck and hit the road for our family vacation. But my favorite memories of those times is everybody sleep and you and I, it's like, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, and we ride it and we just talking about anything and everything. You know what I mean? In those moments, I feel like I didn't know it then because we had a lot of stuff going on, but I think those things was making deposits into the trust bank. Mm-hmm. So when we do get into an argument, we got something to pull from. When you don't be intentional with stuff, you trying to reach somewhere that you ain't putting nothing in. You know what I mean? And so we now actively put stuff in the trust bank so we know it's there. And I feel like our arguments, discussions have gotten a lot better because we got something in the trust bank to actually pull from. Those times we're vulnerable, we're open, we hold accountability. You know what? I knew I should have did X, Y, and Z. Sorry, babe, it's forgiveness in that. You know what I'm saying? So to me, we try to do things in the wrong time. Like when you're having an argument, that's not the time to try to really, do you see me? Do you hear me? That's not the time. Because generally, you gotta not insult each other. You gotta not roll your eyes. You got a lot of knots to do because it's just not gonna happen there. But the times where it didn't die down, it's quiet, let's go for a ride. I love our, sometimes our Sundays, it's been too hot, but, drop the top and just ride, and it's just, those are the times, to sit and really talk about those things like adults, you know what I mean? Without the yelling, the screaming, the insults, you know what I'm saying? And so a big pillar after communication in using maybe communication as a vehicle is to build trust. How do you do that? This works for us, but you got to find ways to build that. Like I'm a big advocate for when you share something with me to lock it up. You know what I mean? It's never to be shared. It's never going to come out of my mouth. If you want to talk about it again, I'm going to take it and I'm going to lock it up. You know what I'm saying? It's not for me to go tell, girl, let me tell you when it's not that. And it's not for me to use for when I'm upset with you. Remember when you told me what happened to you in 4th grade on the playground? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that. So, I mean, I said it earlier, but marriage is a grown-up sport. It is. If you are immature coming into it, which I was, if you stay in it long enough, it's going to grow you up. Yeah. You're going to have to grow up for it to last. It's not that old school generation of folks who was married for 40 years and, grandpa got to be a Rolling Stone and have kids over here, we're not our grandparents. You know what I'm saying? We're in a different time, different society. And I think that's why the clothes and things like that is more prevalent because you don't even, I know on real, don't kick me off the show, but I don't even know if people have to pay for adult stuff because you literally see everything. on everybody for free. Like, why? Why is everything public? Do we not have any private things anymore? Is that a thing of the past? Like,
yeah. So I wanna wrap up this section of the show, and because I really want to bring you on a conversation that me and Lasagna and Darren have been having.
Yeah, I'm tired of talking about
for
these
a
other
while.
people's business. I don't know them.
But I really want to just give a good summation of takeaways from these two events. Like what recommendations would you have for the host? Like what are just summing up what everything we've talked about. Like what would be your recommendations? Just bullet point.
High level. We'll go with 3. The first one would be is take your relationship offline. Just
keep it private.
Keep it private. 2, what we talked about through and through is communication. Communicate with your mate to find out if you guys are even on the same page. Is this what you want? You want to get married? What do you want more kids? Just find out, are we even in the same, if I'm wanting something different that you don't want, which is what Jonah Hill was saying, it's like,
and it's okay.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Yeah. Like I wish I would have known that when I was young. Like having boundaries, and this person that I might be attracted to, but we not, we don't have the same.
We don't want the same
thought.
thing.
We don't want the same. You know what I mean? Like it's okay. Like it seems like this young lady took that personal,
right?
But honestly, that's a blessing. That's him saying like, "Hey, this is gonna be a problem."
Now.
Exactly. For me, I don't get. I just don't get why she put it up there like that. But I think as far as that point is concerned, open, transparent conversation, no matter if you agree with it or not, is super key. It can get you in a lot of trouble, and you should be okay if that door is closing. Like as Christians, we know about doors closing and opening and things like that. And if the door is closed because of a certain boundary, then that just means that you weren't supposed to walk through that.
My last one is just self-reflection. Like accountability is hard to come by these days. People are not accountable for. They always a victim in every story. Everywhere they go, and so. There's no peace in that, because in the back of your mind, you give yourself grace, but again, you won't extend it to the next person. So the same measure of grace that you receive, you're supposed to give. And so I think there has to be a self-reflection. Like everybody had been in a relationship, and it was not, that relationship didn't end because it was 100% this other person's fault. You gotta take some responsibility in that. Sometimes we allow people to do stuff to us that we know we're uncomfortable with. So that would have been a time to speak up. You don't stay with them for, X amount of time, and now I can't take it no more. Who they are at that moment, that's what you get. So we're not dating for potential. We dating for what I see today. So it's got to be some self-reflection for everybody, all of us. It's just you got to look at within to see, how did I get here? How did we get here? How did I end up with you? How did I end up with a baby? How did, look, be honest, not with the world. This is a personal thing, and that's how you grow, and that's how you're saying, yeah, I could have made better choices about that. Or even if you got to extend grace to yourself, yeah, that was pretty stupid. I got right here, but now this is how I want to move, so that would be my top things.
And the only thing I think I would add, because those are definitely all the points that I think I got from these situations. The other thing, and you brought it up, is the trust, building trust. Yeah. Like, we all coming to a situation not knowing certain things. You know what I mean? And, even if you dated this person for a while, we've been together for, we've known each other for over 20 some years. You know what I mean? So, but there's still things today that I'm learning about you and understanding about you. So to come in to a situation and feel like you completely understand this person, you got it all figured out, like y'all already know. You said it earlier, it's work. And that's the work, like constantly, getting to know each other, building trust, building an environment where you guys can communicate openly about, whatever you're dealing with and wherever you're at that point. And so,
that was good.
And this is a transition, believe it or not, into something that we've been talking a lot about. And through our private conversations, we talk about the comparison between marriage and how that looks and our relationship with God.
Right.
Like, the Bible describes the church as Jesus's bride, and Jesus is a representative of God, right? So just this whole talk that we're having about marriage, one of the things that we've been focused on as a show for the last probably month and a half, is relationship with God.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like compared to religion, right?
Welcome to the Talk Show.